You're live.
Okay, thank you. It is 8:02, and we are returning from executive session with no action taken. Prior to going in, I think Councilor Guy had made the motion to accept. So any other comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1545, approving full-time regular employee status and confirming a compensation level for T. Baruther. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1546, approval of coal severance budget revision 2023-002-01 for the fiscal year of 2023. I'm looking for a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any other comments or discussion?
Roll call vote.
This requires a roll call vote.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I would like to know what are we moving exactly? I didn't get the chance to look over that one.
So at the top of it, where it has unassigned fund balance, when we did the budget back in March, we estimated $144,660 as a carryover amount. We're increasing that by $7,396. So the total carryover amount will be $152,056. Excuse me. And then down below for coal severance, it's the expenditures are budgeted out of City Hall. It can be. We haven't used that any of that money for a couple years, but right now it's all budgeted to go to City Hall. But that can change with a budget revision if need be.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then this is required by the first council meeting in July each year.
Any other questions or comments? If none, this will be a roll call vote.
For Resolution 1546, Councilor Bras Ferganera,
Yes.
Councilor Hinchman,
Yes.
Councilor Kwanzo,
Yes.
Councilor Guy,
Yes.
Councilor Higgins,
Yes.
Councilor Vest,
Yes.
Councilor Parker,
Yes.
Councilor Lowther,
Yes.
Councilor Chenoweth.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 1547, approving transfer of funds from the financial stabilization accounts. I'm looking for a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion?
Yeah, quick question. This is just moving funds around to close down the parking lot account, right?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
That is correct.
Yep.
Any other comments? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1548, authorizing closure of City Hall parking lot project bank accounts. I'm looking for a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1549, approving amendments to the City Hall of Elkins grant protocol. I'm looking for a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion?
Yeah, I just had a couple questions on it. When, throughout the language, the protocol is really focused on accepting the awards, and I wasn't sure, there's, if I understood correctly, there's a lot of work in putting together the application packets and going through that process. And is there an opportunity for council to, after all that work has been done, to not accept the award? I didn't know whether, if there was a rationale for doing it at that point, or whether it would make more sense to do it account approval, which is sort of how it was before, for applying for it, because it's a ton of work to go through if you don't have the blessing of council. And then I was just surprised with the language of it accepting award rather than submitting the application.
Yes, so it is a change from what we've been doing since this was first adopted. I think it was in 2009,
Right.
from approval at the point of application or prior to application to approval at the point of acceptance. And there's a couple reasons why, and we've talked about this quite a bit in some committee meetings, just sort of it's come up as a topic of discussion, and then we've discussed it amongst the admin officers quite a bit. The reasoning is because, as you said, there's a lot of work that goes into these applications. Some of them are time sensitive, and we've seen occasions where those deadlines have been missed because of the process that we had in place before, which is take it to finance committee in some cases or municipal properties, and then you're going to a council meeting. And either way, even if we were getting the approval at the time of application, a lot of that work is already completed at that point because you were going to council and saying, I've got this package together. This is the application I want to make. Here's all the details that have been put together. That's going to happen either way. This, I think, helps administrative officers to move forward with applications, having done all that work, and then if approved, it doesn't waste council's time or finance committee's time or municipal properties in having to discuss and meet, and grant that authorization prior to the application. It comes later. And the other reason that we talked about a lot was, administrative officers and our chief water and wastewater operators and the other boards and committees that will also be granted this type of flexibility. They're appointed and they're trusted to do their jobs and to have all this information. Particularly administrative officers and the chief water and wastewater operators are responsible for their budgets. They're answerable for them, and so understanding that these individuals attend council meetings, committee meetings, they know the philosophy of the council. We have the strategic plan in place, and we'll have another strategic plan hopefully within the next year that creates these boundaries and this guidance for them to be able to make those decisions. There's also a couple caveats in there, like if there is a matching fund required,
Right.
you don't have the money in the budget, then yes, you do have to go to finance and get finance's permission to say, hey, if we're awarded this in the future, can we be assured that this money is then going to be moved into this budget to cover it? Or if you're asking for assistance from another department, street department's probably the best example for that. If you're going to apply for and potentially accept a grant that's going to require their labor, you need written verification that they are willing and able to provide that if the award is granted.
Okay. So the approval process will be, if it does require in-kind or monetary things from other departments, you would need their approval, and then you would need finance department approval.
Right, for any financial match
Okay.
that doesn't already exist within your budget.
Okay. So it's just sort of moving the approval off council's plate for the application.
Correct.
Okay.
Until later, there's still,
Right.
council has to authorize the acceptance of the award. And at that time, if council, for whatever reason, decided they didn't, weren't in favor of that grant, you can say no. And it puts the onus on the administrative officer to make sure that they believe that is something that council is going to be in favor of and that it follows. They have the justification for doing it.
One thing, as Ms. Sutton pointed out, you can have several conversations. If we apply for 17 grants and you have these discussions prior to the application and you only receive 2 of them, you've basically wasted 15 conversations that you didn't really need to have because you weren't going to be awarded the money anyway. So they can make you aware after they apply, which I think they should, is my opinion. So you have time to review it, as you said. If you have concerns, you'll be able to bring those up, if you were offered the award. But like I said, I don't think you need to have conversations about money that you're not offered, to be honest.
Right, yeah.
The other thing, if I could, that's included in this that didn't exist prior or doesn't exist currently is a little more follow-up as far as you'll notice towards at the end of the section titled application process, Our executive secretary helps sort of keep track of these applications and then provides that information to the treasurer when the audit is being done, because she's required to report those things. So if someone's done an application and it has not been awarded, they need to let the executive secretary know so that we can, just check that off of our list. The post-award process requires that information, not only all the information that would be included in the application and the award, any financial documents, any legal documents, all have to be provided and vetted prior to appearing on the council agenda. But then if council grants the acceptance of that award, then you're required to then make sure that you're reporting that to the executive secretary. I mean, she'll be aware of it, obviously, if it comes before council. But that reporting process is important, too. We're kind of missing a step with that before.
I'd like to make a brief comment too, if I may. Just in recent memory, I mean, we had fire chief applied for, what was it, a smoke alarm grant, I believe, right? And it was very time sensitive, and didn't even make it through. They were only accepting, I think, 5,000 applicants, and we didn't make the mark. So in recent memory, I mean, we've got an argument for the revision here, I think, so.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any other comments or discussion?
I just have one little comment, which is, I understand if the grant is kind of presented and you have to act on it before there's any council meetings or anything, that's one thing. But if there is time, then when the administrative officers are giving their reports, it might not be a bad idea to mention to council so that we're aware that something is coming up and go forward for it, So.
That is included in there. It's in the application process, under number 4.
Okay.
Well, that's a very valid point, and you have to keep in mind, most of these grants that we're looking at will not be awarded for months after the application. So you guys will have ample time to have conversations, and if you want to put it on an agenda, you could.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
I think that's the key piece, sir. I mean, the council needs to have time to consider
correct.
what's coming through the pipeline. And it doesn't really change our level of responsibility. The only thing that may make it just a little more interesting is that somebody's holding out money in front of us. And we're going to need to simply be careful not to respond to that, but to really give due deliberation to what is laid out in a grant proposal, and then what is expected of us in terms of deliverables as we go forward.
Well,
And I think we can do that.
I think realistically, if council isn't comfortable with one of the applications, you can always pull that application. If you have those conversations and you vote and you choose that you're not comfortable with it, you can pull the application. So you have options to decline them if you want to. And like I said, there's always that big if you are worthy. I mean, just because you apply doesn't mean you're automatically going to be awarded the grant. So that's a huge if.
So I have a specific question. So currently with the demonstration grants, I should not be working on those because it says that it's inappropriate for elected official.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot to bring it up. We do think that for elected officials to advocate or assist in the writing of grants can prevent a conflict of interest when they come before council because ultimately they're going to come before council in the acceptance of those awards. So I don't think it's a good idea to put yourselves in the position of then voting on something that you've written.
So what do
Okay.
we do about that? How does that work?
Well, if you're talking about other boards and commissions, I think you can participate in those boards and commissions, but shouldn't be the writer of the grant.
Who is? Who would be?
Someone,
Well, the other
other
members of the board.
members. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think Jessica's absolutely right about that. You're going to vote on whether you
Right.
accept these grants or not if you're awarded them.
Right.
You shouldn't be the author of them.
Right. Yeah.
A very good discussion.
Well, and I think there has been situations when I have recused myself from, like what pump house and things like that. So that makes perfect sense.
Okay, once again, we still have a motion on the floor. Any other comments or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, approval of template lease for Darden House tenants. Looking for a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, the last one, request by Smoker Friendly for ABCA special licensure. I'm looking for a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Any comments or discussion?
Question, Chief Bennett, we've done this, we've approved this in the past. Have we had any issues that you're aware of?
Not that I can remember.
I wasn't aware of any either, but I thought we needed to check with the source over here.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, down to mayor's comments. I'd like to welcome Lisa Severino as our second ward counselor. So welcome aboard. Welcome to our work family. I'd also like to thank our city clerk for covering the last special call council meeting as I was nursing a bad back, and probably still am actually. But thank you for that. And I also want to address the Josh Sanson situation for a lot of people that don't understand the way this went. Josh, in 4 months, made a tremendous impact on the city of Elkins. He was recruited for another position, which was a tremendous opportunity for him and his family. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Josh and would be the first person willing to write a recommendation letter for him. We know that he set the bar high going forward, so we know what we're looking for from an operations manager's perspective. So I just want to say thank you to Josh and his family out there. I wish them well going forward. And good luck to the personnel committee. So like I said, you know what we're looking for now as we try to replace them. So also a thank you to the volunteers that made this last weekend a success for Independence Day. The Mountain State Street Machines and the Our Town Group did a fantastic job. I will say that our parking lot was fully utilized the entire weekend. So a great investment by the city of Elkins. So thank you guys for that. Like I said, we are blessed to have the volunteers that we have in this area. And the last thing I have is on July 23rd, they will be holding their first ever Depot Day to celebrate what the Depot does for our community. It's going to be an event that goes from 11 to 7. I think McDonald's is sponsoring a cornhole tournament with a quite hefty prize purse out there. There are going to be 2 bands playing in the afternoon. I have been challenged by Ann Beardsley to try to get 2,000 individuals to this event. So please tell all of your friends. So we're trying to have a great celebration of what the Depot and the train does for the Elkins area. And with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn.